Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Experience Talk. So, what is Experience Talk? So, for all our new listeners out there, we launched this podcast to help growth stage companies start their Voice of the Customer program. And in the last two episodes, we discussed about how to kick off your VOC program. And let me give you a little bit brief about that. How can we kick off? It starts with why we want to do it. That's the first thing. The second is identifying the problem statement. Third is setting the short term and long term objectives. Then getting buy in from the stakeholders. And finally, understanding the current state of the problem, which is why the problem is happening and which customer segments are getting affected. I'm Tanuj, head of product at Service Insum, with Nandkishore Tripathi, aka NK, our global head of customer experience and success at Service Insum. And today we'll talk about one of the most important aspects of the VSC program, that is creating a customer journey map. This exercise helps businesses step into the customer's shoes and see their business from customers' perspective. It also allows us to gain insights into the major customer pain points and how we can improve those. So, without further ado, let's deep dive into today's episode, NK. So, my
Yeah,
first question for you today is a simple one, I would say. What is customer journey mapping?
great. So I think customer journey is, how would I say, is basically defining the how your customers have traveled from point A to point B. And sometimes we feel like it's a linear process. Like if you have to go from a check-in to your room, it's a one single process. But
Right.
let me tell you, I think when we define the customer journey, it's full of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a desire of the customer. It's what is their perception about your brand services that you are offering, what brand values that they have listened about you, right? They have that in their head while they are
Right.
having a conversation with you, or they're just using your services.
Right.
And so basically customer journey gives you the expectations from the customer and what is the reality, and that reveals the moment of truth. So I think in the small, the customer journey reveals the moment of truth, uh, what customers feeling is about your services
Okay.
and product.
And it would include every kind of path or touch point they would travel with us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. See, journey is very very big.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I have seen is it depends upon how you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Customer life cycle is from the once the customer has been thought using something, some
Mm-hmm.
process or some product like yours,
Right.
until the time he churn out, or like he renew the businesses for you,
Right.
right? But the customer journey can be focused to on a micro level, on a higher
Mm-hmm.
touch points, and it can go into the deeper to the micro level as well. So
Right.
it depends upon that which of the path that we want to capture.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, again, like I say, that CX program is a model that gets matured over the period of time, right?
Absolutely.
So
Mm.
similarly, the customer journey, when you design it, you want to understand that how much touch points that you want to cover at a micro level and at a micro level.
Right.
And also, if you understand the persona of the customers that who are interacting with you are different, right? A young boy who goes to purchase something at Walmart, and a lady with a mother of a two, a kid in hand, and if she goes for a shop, the persona is same. Like the persona is different. Like, but if you look at the task, the journey from point A to B is similar,
Right.
right? So this, when we design this particular journey, we really understand what are the emotions, desire, perceptions, expectations of these two personas are, and then how we design it, and
Mm.
then how you as a brand take action out of it to delight the customer experience.
Okay. So I would say customer journey mapping is understanding the whole customer life cycle plus the customer journey, even if they don't churn out, right?
Yeah.
And also defining it by personas, not just a single customer journey for everyone. It is different for different ones, because every segment or every persona has a different emotion and psychographics and needs and wants, right?
Yeah, so you could define, like, I think it depends, like, see, in the B2B space and B2C space, right? So you can bucket segment customers
Right.
to do it, or if you really want to focus on a certain specific segment, you can target a specific persona. So like
Okay.
I said, it is very customized, and
Right.
the more depth you go inside it, the more value you'll get. And
More
you
value
need
it
to
gets.
understand that which particular segment is your high net worth, or like, and is very,
Right.
very key for your business. Then
Right.
accordingly, you will plan it out your entire journey.
Awesome. Okay. So the next question comes around this only. Like, you have answered some of the things from it, but if you have to give the top three reasons, I would say why you would say a customer journey is important.
Yeah, absolutely. So customer journey is really important. But if you ask me the top three, it is gives you an overview of entire customer journey life cycle. That is the first and most important element out of it, right?
Okay.
And the second is, it really reveals the gap
Hmm.
between the channels or touch points that people interact with.
Okay.
And also at the back end, like I call it like a front end and the back end. So front end is basically how the customer is feeling, experiencing, right? And in the
Mm-hmm.
back end, how the tools and technologies that is enabling that conversation, what is the gap is happening out there. So that is your departments, they're able to understand where the gaps are,
So
right?
that would be internal.
That would be internal. Yes.
Internal. Okay. Got
Yeah,
it. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And the third most important thing would be is you really identify the moment of truth, right? And that is actually give you the experience gap. I generally call it like mostly is emotional gap,
Right.
because the now these days, if you look at the decisions are being made first emotionally, and most of the time, like, if they have made up their mind emotionally, they will go for that, right? it's
Yes.
it's it's, it's how it goes.
Right.
So it really, the journey, the customer journey really help the brands, and specifically to the decision makers or the persons who are actually taking actions, what should be done to delight customer. They should be
Right.
part of this, and I think like it's really, really helpful for them.
Okay. Got it. Excellent answer, NK. And so when we start any kind of exercise, there is a kind of like an objective or goal in mind, right? So while once we want to start this exercise, what would be our objective or a goal from this exercise?
Okay, and don't ask me that this is simple question, okay? people people spend time to understand the goal, right? And to define
Right.
the goal, because that is the most important thing, right? Because once you define your destiny, that where you want to reach and what exactly the outcome that you are trying to get out of it, your
Right.
entire focus, activity and task is just dedicated towards that.
Absolutely.
So like for customer journey mapping, like I break it down into two different goals. One is long term goal and one is short term goal, right?
You
Because
always say that. Yeah. You always say that, NK. Hmm.
right. So if you look at my long term goal is basically to help to build customer centricity. And if you ask me why and how, I think I can show you that, like once we start doing the actual customer journey mapping, how it
Okay.
enables the organization to build customer centricity.
Okay.
The short term goal is to understand uh, the moment of truth and
Mm-hmm.
build uh, an approach to think outside in, like how your people, your representatives, the persons who are interacting with the customers, plus your backend team who is building something for them, is
Right.
actually have an approach of thinking outside in.
What do you mean by outside in?
Outside in is basically how customers feels about it, right?
Ah,
It's not
okay.
that how you feel about it. So I'll give an example that uh, for your hotel check-in, if
Mm-hmm.
the receptionist is there, he like the person or, the person would come and then he will go for a check-in and go out, right? It's not non-linear. It's not linear process. But
Right.
a lot of emotions comes when somebody comes to the hotel for check-in, because
Right.
he has been traveled. I don't know how much hours he's traveled. He has traveled from a local or international 2 hours flight or 14 hours of flight.
Right.
What is the schedule looks like for him or her, tonight or tomorrow morning. What preparations she needs to do. Does she have enough sleep yesterday or not? These a lot of things goes in the back end. But like if you look at like we don't think about it much, right? We have just in a process that if somebody comes in, these are the processes and make it easy for them.
Right.
But do we really get empathize with the customer? And that is where it takes the brands who does it, like takes to them to the next level.
It makes them totally apart. No,
Totally apart. I mean, there is no
you're
competition. So I'll say if you if you work on values, you have already won over the competition. If you work on the price, features, and everything, I'll tell you, like now these days, the price and the features and these are like nobody talks about. They talks about like hey, why should I do the business with you? Is that what values are you gonna give it to us, and what experience are
bring
you
it
gonna?
to us. Right. No,
Absolutely.
your example completely makes sense because I think I would say I never thought about it before what you just mentioned. Like if I'm a person who just traveled 2 hours to let's suppose I went to Goa from Delhi and it took me 2 hours and then I checked into the hotel. And then there is another person who is traveling from maybe US who spent like 18 hours traveling. They treat both of us the same way, NK. Most of the hotels, if I talk about, they treat both of us the same way. For me, I'm rested. I had a good night's sleep, but I don't know about that the other person. So how would like I would want to know how would these hotels do it, like the best ones? I'm sure that you have also traveled a lot, and
Yeah.
it, do they get deep into customer emotions, like by asking them questions, or how do they get to a point when they can treat them separately or differently?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. I think like the Marriott is a great example, and
Mm-hmm.
I have been. And that is one of the destination that I've always choose wherever I go
Okay.
to travel and the book hotel. Marriott is my first priority.
Why that?
Yeah, means like they took care once you have initially booked the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So they understood that what itineraries are you taking, what flights, whether you were delayed, not delayed. Basically, my flight was delayed,
Mm-hmm.
and they know that like I was like coming from India, and it was
Okay.
like a long travel. They took everything, like I just they have their mobile app. You can just like drop in that whenever you are here.
Right.
They can arrange you from pick from the Salt Lake City directly, right?
Okay.
And they will take you there. There is a person who will take you everything. You don't have to do anything. You have to just click check in on the app, then you are done.
Oh, awesome.
Means like
Mm.
so it's so convenient for me. At the same time, like I feel so relaxed because I don't have to do anything. At the same time, if you look at, if I have to go by myself, the arrangement to the hotel, because if I'm a new person, I don't know the route, I don't
Right.
know the way, because technologies are like very good now these days. We can use Google Map, and there are a lot of cabs available. You can just book slot and reach out to the destination very easily. But still, like there is a, like I talked about emotion, right?
Right.
But if somebody from the destination is going to pick up, so very simple, like if you come back home and your family members go to airport and pick you up, do you have any other thing in thought? You just enjoy the ride, right, while
Right.
going back to home. This is how it feels, right? Because it's all about emotions, like, and we want to make sure that like the travel
Mm-hmm.
is being meant for to enjoy to the
Right.
customers, and if they think about it, they're actually creating an impact in the world.
And they have done it absolutely, right? Because
Yep.
anyone can, like, once I travel to any other city, I've only taken a cab. It's just as simple as that. I could take a cab even if my family members are not coming in, right? But once they come in, we just feel special, right? So I think that is something what they made you feel, and that's why you keep on going back to them, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome.
Means there are a lot of things they do. I can talk a lot, but
That's
yeah.
okay. Okay, so once we have like set up a short-term or a long-term goal, right? The long-term goal is customer centricity. That's, I think, most important and most difficult as well.
Yeah.
If once we are doing this exercise, who should we have in mind before starting this exercise?
Yeah, great. I think this exercise should involve, first of all, an empty chair. And I'm
Okay.
not sure if you have heard of a story about an empty chair.
You're talking about Jeff Bezos example,
Yes,
is it?
yes. I really loved it. So basically, we have to make sure that whatever discussions,
Mhm.
meetings are happening, it is it has been thoughtful that customer is listening to that conversation, and this conversation is happening specifically for the customers, right?
Right.
This meeting, this discussion is not happening just to build something or add a new feature, or just deploy something and get revenue. Nothing. We're
Right.
just thinking about, hey, how my customer is feeling about it, how his journey was he able to accomplish things during his journey, was it enjoyable. Most of the
Right.
things, like, was it enjoyable, like whether you did you did you enjoy this ride. It's like that's the main thing, right? But so first thing first, the empty chair, that is a concept that lets us to think about customers. That's
Right.
another way to outside in approach.
Right.
And all the people who are actually taking decisions that drive the actions that, or that drive the values that customers perceive or receive, right? You define the processes, that if somebody is going to check in, that what all process would be involved. Whoever taking that decision, they should be in this exercise.
So you're talking about who all should be involved in this
Who
exercise,
should
right?
be involved? Yes. So your
Yeah.
decision makers basically on all the parameters from all the departments, from the front end and the back end. Most important, from the front end and the back end both, because the front end who's actually facing customers in front end, engaging with them, and the back end who's actually developing tools and technologies that enables front end team to discuss with them, or to like to help the customer on board, right? It's
Okay.
very
So
important because most of the time I have seen is front end team is much more closer to the customer because they
customers,
face it. They face it.
absolutely.
They see eyes into eyes, right? And
Right.
they feel that empathy. But most of the back end team is not that close to that. And this is a great exercise that helps the product team, the back end team to come on board and shake hand together to be on the same page.
Okay. So if I talk about who all should be involved, you would say empty chair, and then all the stakeholders from front end and back end. And front end would be the front end staff, like uh, call center, customer support in a hotel, a receptionist, and a back end
Yeah,
staff is someone who's taking care of the back end part. In terms
correct.
of product, a product guy and stuff who does not come face to face with the customer, right?
Absolutely. You can bring in like the POCs from each of the department, because we don't need like entire organization to be part of
Yeah,
this,
then
but
it would be a mess.
then it will be nice. So you need someone who actually take decisions
Right.
and drive it to
Who
the
can take
department.
decisions and also drive it. Got it.
Yeah.
So one thing, NK, I have one question though in this. Uh, don't you think a customer should be involved in this?
While I was talking to you, like I was talking to you, I thought that you were gonna ask me this question. So yes, definitely, I would say that if I'm doing a customer journey mapping, I would recommend that keep an empty chair, and then like invite someone to have a seat there, right?
Okay.
So it's almost uh, like you took it to the next level, right? Some of the brands right now these days, what they do is that they bring in their top customers, or like they bring in their the customers who are like
Ambassadors,
ambassadors
complete
to
ambassadors,
be
right?
a part of their exercise. And this customer journey mapping is been revised,
Right.
and with the discussions with the customers and all. So it depends upon how large and how much which touch points are we covering to do that. And based on that we should take decision on. You should always have an empty chair. That is thumb rule. I would not say that if you don't have an empty chair, I would say that you're not successful. Yes.
Right.
But if you are bringing in the customer that really adds an value, and that like now these days the brands have been doing this more often and they have seen the value out of it. Like
Right.
you I think if you remember that, Tanuj, you yourself has asked your the first customers to give you the feedback front end, and to involve them into your roadmap plan also, right?
Absolutely.
So how, like when you bring in the customer itself, or to whom that you are actually designing everything, and if
Right.
they like it, and if their thought process is going directly and being listened by all the stakeholders, front end and the back end both, that gives you a lot of value, and that actually another way to drive things across the organization as well.
I think everyone gets excited when there is a customer speaking about it, right? But the only thing it should be that all the stakeholders should be open to feedback. That is really important, because once we are speaking with the customers, if they are not open to feedback, then it will not make sense. But you're right. Once they are there, like it feels like they are telling a story and you are just listening to it, and you have to somehow in your mind everything is going on that, okay, I have to solve this, I have to solve this, I have to solve that. And that way it has helped us a lot in the product as well, right? NK, listening to them all the time, like few of the, I would say, features now, before that it was just problem statements. So few of the problem statements that we fixed, we were only able to fix it completely from the first go in a good way, is only because our customers were helping us, right?
Yeah,
If they were not
absolutely.
there, if they were not giving feedback at the prototyping level, I'm talking about the product right now, right? We showed them at the prototype levels, okay, we will be able to solve this problem with this way, and if I didn't do that, I would not know anything, right? So it's UX research as well is something where customers help us a lot. So having a customer in a customer journey now totally makes sense. and
Great.
and once we involve these customers, and this should be like a regular thing if we can, right? Like every month or 2 months we are, because we will be defining the customer journey again and again. It's not a one time exercise, is it?
No, basically it's not a one time exercise, absolutely, but it's not so repetitive as well, because customer journey, when we play at a round table, it's a big exercise where we involve
Right.
customers and get to the root. It takes time to perform actions and then come back again to see what values has been driven to that,
Mhm.
right? And then you can revise it,
Okay.
because you're very simple, like that a year back, like the travel was, like if you define the travel, like when the last travel I had last year in January to Jakarta, as
Mm-hmm.
compared to this December, my journey
Right.
to Jakarta, it
Mm-hmm.
has been completely different. I had to take like almost 3 times the COVID test, and I was like, what? So I was like so scared, like how do I travel? How situations like that. What is the regulations has been changed and whatnot,
Right.
right? There's a lot of question. Emotionally, I have to be prepared more emotionally as compared to what the other
We were
things
doing
around, like
previously. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So things changes over the period of time, and the expectation changes, external factors changes, internal factors changes, right? And that is the time where we need to have a revision in place,
Redefine. Yeah. Revisit
redefine
and
these
redefine.
things.
Yeah.
But this is not like very uh, frequent revisions, I would say that.
Okay.
But
Mm-hmm.
it you define, design, watch, take actions, and then I think that once we put this into our VOC program,
Right.
we will talk about like when the time is to revise it.
Okay, so NK, now not a simple question now. Now it starts with getting into the depth of it, how to create a customer journey map. So I would like to know from you now, how you create a customer journey map when you work with customers.
Okay, all right. So I think, see, creating a customer journey map, I can talk about it, but I think let me share something that probably would help you to
Awesome.
relate it bit a little better, and I think you
Visualize it.
can visualize it, and then I can take any questions you might have. Just give me a second. Let me see if I can find that
Definitely.
real quick. Great. So I think, see, I think I would say to unleash the customer journey, and I think a couple of things that you have already covered about, like what is customer journey and why
Right.
customer journey. Like a little bit about, we also talked about the bit of customer journey concept, right? And then
Right.
I will look at it, how we create it and how we apply these techniques, and then we can take
Absolutely.
the questions.
That would make sense. Yeah.
So like initially we said like why customer journey map. It's like quick intro for us, like revealing gaps, prioritizing improvement initiatives, identify customer progress and fallout that we talked
Right.
about. Focus on customer experience in specific channels. Like each
Mhm.
channel, you have to understand where it's like an example. Like if it's an offline channel, or like online channel, you have to define that separately.
Right.
And identify and resolve customer hurdles. Like like you said, if you are traveling from just Goa or somebody traveling from here, they need to understand and then take that cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's a key concept. Focus on entire journey, not a single expect that somebody just visiting me, going to the like check in and then go to bed, breakfast and then check out. No, it's a complete journey full of emotions. And
Yeah.
use an outside in approach to understand the emotions and the understanding behind the scene of it, right? Define the handoffs. I think like I like this one because like whenever we interact with the customer, your handoff is happening. Sometimes
Right.
handoff is happening front end to front end, like sales to client success, right? Or
Right.
sometimes it happens from offline to online, or sometimes if online to offline also.
Right.
So how that handoff is like, is that handoff is so smooth for the customer? That is also we need to understand in this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we focus on the moment of truth at every touch point. What is exactly smiley face of the customer, or like you said, I think okay, right? So we really need to
So you mean
understand
to
those of
take like around the customer journey, we should take feedback everywhere at every touch
everywhere,
point
every
along the
touch
customer
point,
journey.
every touch
Okay,
point.
if we can. Yeah,
If we can.
got it.
Yeah, but I think you don't need to ask for feedback about like onboarding this. If the customer is spending a night with you, and then he should not be getting SMSs like how was journey, and then
Mhm.
did you get the breakfast, you know how was it like. So don't disturb them, like not too many.
Right. Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make
Not too many surveys. If their journey that they stayed for like 7-10 days, then it makes sense to ask these kind of questions. But not if they're staying for a day. Yeah, get it.
And then share with customer and give them insight. It's most important thing, like
This
we
is interesting.
understanding and
Yeah.
give them, yeah. And measure and optimize the journey map. That is the last question, the last element that you asked me, that how and often we need to revisit it, right?
Revisit. Yeah, got it.
So if we go into the depth of it right now, is first and foremost element is to understand to whom we are picking up in this customer journey. Who is my persona, right? Is it a young boy, uh, like a lady, like with the kids of two, or like the person traveling from 2 hours flight, or more than international flight, like that. So you need to define that. And then the step two is defining their life cycle. So life
Okay.
cycle, like for international flight, the person who's like flying from internationally, their life cycle is different.
Different, completely
Their
different.
touch points are also different. You might have just took one flight, they might have took three flights. And then how their what actually they want to go there, how much time they're going to spend, and all of that you need to understand.
So you mean to say, NK, just a quick question on this. Once we define a customer journey, we define it separately for different personas, is it? Or is it in the exercise we do it all together?
So look at this way. If you have a team, generally what we have done in the past is like we grouped up people and created a team of four, and
Okay.
every team has been given one persona
Got it.
of that.
Okay.
And so that like one big exercise, we actually created four different journeys for four different personas. And there is always a moderator in the room, that who moderates that entire aspect out of it and give the inputs. And towards the end of the day, we just take a holistic view of all the personas and see that what is being a common and what is the differentiation, right? And
Got
then
it.
we take a
Okay.
call on that. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Step 4 goes into the conducting research about their feelings and questions, their expectations. And step 5 is determining the point of friction. So uh, you you want or not, but the frictions are already, it's always going to be there, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll tell you about that when I go in depth in step 5.
Okay.
And step 6 is absolutely to resolve that, how we're going
Resolve.
to resolve that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So defining persona is takes about like everything. I'm going to show you a glimpse of something else. if you can see my another screen, I'm just opening the Chrome
Yeah,
browser
I
right now.
see ideal customer mapping. Yeah.
So sometimes this is the most often all the people does it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you are designing a product or you designing a service for
Right.
someone, right?
Right.
You create your ideal customer in your head,
Absolutely.
and then and it is this exercise is also very rich exercise. You do research and create that, but you create ideal customer persona, right?
Right.
So you can focus on job title, what primary focus are, what is their secondary focus are, where they work, their product usage, then what type of people you don't like to use it, or who's where geography is, which is your key primary focus areas, which not. And then you define the actual your persons, and it could be different, right? Like it could be Julia, it could be Eddie, or it could be Olivia, and these all three are different, right? So
Why
if
do
you
you
look,
give a picture to it, NK?
great question. So basically, look at this. I think the first thing foremost, it grabs the attention, right? You got the attention when I looked at the
Absolutely.
picture. When I showed you
Right.
the ideal customer, all black and white and everything in this, you didn't say that like, hey, NK, why is not that picture, right?
Yeah.
So customer journey is another way to is a pictorial way to represent everything, right?
Mm.
I'll give an example. If you read something, it goes into your head sometimes. If you see pictures, it has much more stronger impact. And sometimes when you make a video, or if you watch a video, it makes more and more impact,
More
right?
impact.
And
So
that's why,
remembering things, I think our teachers also used to build everything through pictures, right? So
yeah,
that we remember stuff, right?
so you need to have a picture of your persona, create this, and understand who really they are.
Mm-hmm.
What is their pain point, what is the biographic, what is their needs are, what is
Mm.
their fear factors are, what is their pain points are, where what is they don't like it, whether they like spaghetti or not, maybe like what is their
Right.
best dishes or something. So I think like we go into that depth to understand our customers, and that
Yes.
is really helps you to understand emotions behind it, because the
Right.
people coming from a different culture have different thoughts process. It's all about psychology as well, you
Right.
know and the better you can connect with your customer, the better you will be able to understand them, and the better you can serve them.
Okay. I think I can give one input on this, NK.
Yeah.
So before once we started making customer personas, it was all about we were doing secondary research on Google and trying to understand, okay, like CX guy is our persona, then what a CX guy feels and what are the top challenges he has, and everything was like I was doing secondary research to do it. But I found out that that is not the correct way of doing it. Just doing secondary research doesn't make sense. Why not talk to 4 or 5 people and actually ask them these questions, right? What are the pain points? But let's suppose they're using our product and they purchased it for something, but they are still facing some problems, right? So if we don't ask them, Google is not going to give us that answer, right? So that is something that has helped me a lot. So I created like 10, 15 questions for myself. Like I'll ask them, what is the thing that keeps them awake at night, right? uh, just an example. So the answers that came from that helped me define my persona better. Even my messaging as a brand became better, and I could understand what they actually need. And that's how it led to us talking about VOC as well, right? We talked to them and they said, why not do these kind of podcasts where you can help our teams, internal teams as well. They can just read these, look at these videos and understand what customer persona is, or how to run a VOC program, right? So I think just a suggestion for everyone who's listening to this, that if you want to create a persona, don't just uh, do Google research and create a persona. Talk to your actual customers, and they're always willing to help. NK, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think, see, I would add to this is
Mm-hmm.
go wild and be crazy in whatever you want to do.
Right.
Means like shyness doesn't have any room in the customer experience field. Okay.
That's true.
So uh, if you have a thought in your head that if this is going to help you out, go ahead and do it. How wild it could be it. How
Right.
crazy it could be, let it be. Right. And I think like those are the things that differentiate you from doing something else. Because if you remember, like one of the conversation I joined with you, Tanuj, in one of the discovery call, The customer was so happy that said that, hey, I was thought like it is going to be kind of a sales pitchy call, but we started understanding them,
Right.
asking and shooting questions to them, and he was really liked about it. He said like, hey, I think like he thought like he didn't expected that, right?
Yeah, he didn't
That
expect that.
didn't
Yeah.
expected that, right? So that is what it is. So if you want to do something, if you are really sure about it, and your heart says that go for it, then go for it and do it. And I think
And
like
just
that's
go
the
for
way.
it. Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. I think
Let's
doing
come
these
back.
discovery calls helped me ask those questions, NK. Those simple questions which you
No
keep on
simple
talking
questions, please.
about.
You stump them
Okay.
up, right?
Right.
So your
So
simple
this makes sense.
questions.
Making so once you have your customers, define your customer persona. That's the first step towards the customer journey map.
Absolutely. So I think
Okay.
like this in this particular picture, it gives you like a quick pointers where
Hmm.
what you can focus on. But I would say that these are not the only things that you should look for.
Right.
You can think of from your business perspective, and then you
Hmm.
can try to add much more attributes to it. The
Right.
much more you would know about your persona, your research would be that much stronger. So
That much stronger.
goals, what is their
Absolutely.
goals? What exactly they want to do the goal?
Right.
And let me tell you one thing: we don't sell to the company. Whenever you talk to whenever you're talking about your product or your services, and you're trying to sell to someone or like trying to convince them that to help them or serve them, you are
Right.
actually not serving to a brand. You are not serving to a company, or you are serving to a human. You are
Human.
serving to that particular person that you're talking to, and you need to make sure that, hey, are you able to help them to reach their goal? And that is why we talk about whether what is the goal of the customer. It's not
Yes.
about your goal, it's about what is the
Their
customer.
goal. Because we exist only for them. Hmm.
You help
Absolutely.
them to meet their goal, your goal is automatically been met, right?
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
I would say customer experience is very uh, in the other way is it's you do something else, your goals are automatically being taken care of, because I say
Right.
that I I just work for happiness of my customer. I don't care about my goals. My goals are always like overachieve.
Right. If I'm just taking care of the customer, my goals are gonna be achieved automatically, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And that makes sense. That's why customer experience just removes the pricing hurdle that everyone thinks about, right? If you are
absolutely.
doing you talked about values, right? If you're providing value, then the pricing hurdle doesn't come in, and if there is no pricing hurdle, then it's good for the business as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's
Okay,
about
go
relationship,
ahead.
not the value and not the price.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let's take a next look. All right.
So
So this one is defining the customer life cycle.
mhm.
Basically, try now we understood the customer persona. Now we try and understand the customer life cycle. So
Okay.
it's in this example you see a very like common that covers like most of the industries.
Right.
But for your specific industries, you would have to design it and tweak it a little bit. But most of the time, these covers like most of them.
Absolutely.
Discover
Yeah.
them, like what is the discovery opportunity, how they start thinking about to doing something. They start exploring, doing the comparison, what they want to do. They evaluate, they purchase, then retention, referrals. And I think you may ask, NK, why you have not added this churn here, right?
Customer life
Your
cycle.
simple question, Chan. So so basically, see, I talked about referrals, and at the moment it could also do a churn, and
Mhm.
with customer experience evangelist, I help customer to reduce the churn. So I say that like I want to make sure a life cycle there is no churn.
Yeah.
That is the
So
team for
the
them.
life cycle never ends. If it's an ideal customer, we would ideally not want to leave them, right? They should stay with us. So
Yeah,
that's why you
because
have not added churn.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have seen the churn happens only two ways.
Hmm.
If the customer demands changes and we are still are not able to make it up, right?
Right.
And if the both the parties are not able to rise up and down, or like walk together, that is
Right.
where the churn is happening. So we have to make sure that
Absolutely.
either if we are all aligned as a customer and as a service provider, as a brand, I think like uh, this is something that we could do longer from the birth to that.
Right. So, NK, a question on this customer life cycle. Like you mentioned about discover, I would add something into it. Discovery of product involves first the customer understand that they have a problem, right? After that, the discovery of the product and service starts about. They'll first cover about the problem. So that's what I would like to add one point into it. The other part I would like to ask you, so you have discover, explore, comparison. So you have mentioned all the 7 steps. So these 7 steps, once we are doing this exercise, this is something that every stakeholder comes in and talks about. Okay, these are the 7 or 8 touch points that are happening throughout the customer life cycle, right? And someone
Correct.
is owning something like discover, explore, comparison. Maybe marketing is the person owning it, right? It's something related to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. So these are the basically a broader at a micro level is your touch points, you would say. But
Okay.
when you start designing it in the discover aspect itself, you will find that how the discovery is happening to the customer, like what levels he's doing the discovery. Is it like just offline newspaper advertisement from the customers, or like the word of mouth, or is it like just happening through the social media
Google
channels
search
and
maybe,
whatnot,
or
Google
social
search or
media.
something like that.
Right.
So
Got
there's
it.
a lot of
Got it.
opportunities out there, and it's very deep. When you actually
Got it.
define design it, you will go into the depth of it.
Okay. Okay. So let's move to the next step then.
So the next is basically here.
Describing those touch points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think like what we are doing here, that we are actually describing the touch point that what we just discussed. And this example that I'm just taking an example of a tour where
Right.
you the first and foremost thing is that explore the itineraries, that where do you want to go, your tour details, your pre-sale support channels, tour booking page is something. These are like your touch points. And then you thinking what do you, so basically if you look at and just focus only on the first pillar of it, right?
Right.
So the first pillar is actually broken down into the customer experience and the recommendation, right? Just these two portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
So your touch points goes like this, where in itineraries you are finding about tour detail, pre-sale support, tour booking page. And thinking and feeling, you think about like lack sophisticated tour search, right? You don't have like very dedicated way that you want to do the search, or like brochure is not printable. If you want to, if you're doing a research from maybe somewhere around, or you want to print it, or you save it as a PDF for some references, because once you start searching it, you are on that page, right? And then when you close it out and you want to do the search again on the next day, you have to
Right.
start it again.
So this thinking and feeling, I would ask a question on this, NK. So
Yeah.
you mentioned about, so we are talking about a travel example, right? So I get the touch point where people can connect with you. Either they can do a pre-sale support call, or they can go to your website page, or they can just check a tour detail that you have mapped. So sometimes I see, okay, 4 nights in Goa, that's kind of like a tour detail, right? Which keeps on coming on Make My Trips or Agoda.com, the booking sites we use. This thinking and feeling, which you mentioned, it looks to me like kind of like a pain points which can be, which is told by all the stakeholders which are joining this exercise. Is
So
it?
this is thinking and feeling is coming as an outside in approach. So you as a
Okay.
customer, if you are doing, so what we do generally is that, so let me make it more practical now. So you categorize like a
Right.
team,
Okay.
right? And then you say, Tanuj and team, you are planning to go to a trip to Goa, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And do it. And then you are actually doing all those activities. You are trying to put it down, everything, your tour details, your pre-sale support, you're trying to search it, and you are living that, and you're actually doing it, right? And while doing
Okay.
all of those things, you are whatever thoughts, whatever journey that you are going through, you are keeping and tracking and writing it down here.
Right.
And that
Okay.
is what
So,
we are
mhm.
tracking here. So
So one
when,
question, NK.
yeah,
So you're trying to say, once we are defining this customer journey mapping and we have noted down all these touch points, it is actually once we are doing that stuff. So a team of 4 members are doing this stuff and talking about, okay, these are the touch points, and these, okay. And while doing this, the problems that we are facing is something we are writing
we
and
are,
thinking and
yeah,
feeling.
we are collating all the problems.
So
This is,
becoming a customer, it's
yeah,
something like that.
becoming, yeah,
Yeah.
being a customer. So the one sheet that you are seeing right now is actually completed, but you're just defining each and every feelings, your thoughts, emotions that is going into the depth of doing each activity. then you log it, and then you drive it, and then you see that, hey, if what all things are happening, and then you go to the recommendation with the discussion that we don't look at the recommendation immediately, right?
Right.
We just like plot the entire thinking and feeling across all the touch points, and then we sit together and brainstorm that how we want to solve this, what are the recommendations. So like, and it comes from the thinking and feeling, right? So if you look at this, this gives us recommendation for your product roadmap, your new feature set that you want to launch,
Absolutely.
and everything out that they
I
want to
think
use
this
it.
brings innovation, right?
This brings
Look,
innovation.
just looking at this brings innovation. And if your customer is also involved, like we mentioned before, if there's a customer as well, this helps a lot. It will kind of like validate that idea as well, what we are thinking, right? And
Correct. Correct.
okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so now I understand about this touch point and feeling. Okay.
The next one, like while doing this
One question,
exercise. Okay.
NK.
Okay.
I'm
Go
really
ahead.
sorry,
No, no, it's
NK.
okay.
One
Go ahead.
question. So let's suppose once we have done this exercise, uh, in explore itinerary, book a tour, pre-tour. I don't know currently whoever companies is defining this customer journey. They are taking feedback at every touch point right now, right? But this is there would be some data as well once we are doing customer journey, where let's suppose after we book a tour, there is a pop-up survey that comes in, right? So there would be data there as well which we can use in the customer journey, right? While doing this exercise, is it?
Yeah. So basically, we are collecting experiences across the touch point, right?
Right.
But during the exercise, like you yourself as an individual going through that journey and putting down your all emotions and feelings and analyzing the actions out of it, right? So that's another way to look at it. And the feedbacks that we are collecting on the each of the touch point, that goes directly into our voice of customer program that we talked
Right.
about earlier.
Right.
And that is where that we give analysis. I think like it, I want to emphasize is the voice of customer program, where we collect the feedback and listen to it and take action on it. It is actually kind of a reactive approach,
Right.
that once you get the feedback and then do it. And while
Absolutely.
you actually do the customer journey mapping, it's a proactive approach to understand, and it brings innovation in your thought, in the process, and it gives you the realistic what the customers is going to use it. So basically you can reduce the churn. You're not
Right.
providing something to them, they are not actually using it, right?
Right.
There you are building, you're providing the services based on their emotions and need, and that is why you reduce the churn also. So if you look at like
Absolutely.
how the benefit of the journey mapping is 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 taking all your team together on a single platform, making them think on a same level, like an
Right.
outside in approach, building the customer centricity, bringing innovation and thought that you want to do it. It also define your next set of roadmap plan, right? And also it reduces the churn because you are
Absolutely.
actually
Yeah.
developing based on the customer's feedback.
But based on the customer's feeling. And if I talk about this is like a really interesting point that you mentioned, that customer journey is about being proactive, and taking customer feedback is about being reactive, right? But reactive approach is also important, right? It's not just proactive, because once you build something, there is going to be feedback, right? Because for me, reactive approach is also very important, being a product guy. Understanding their customer
Yeah,
feedback.
means like it's a reactive approach, absolutely. But I think, like I said, you want to understand, like, hey, we wanted to get this, and what exactly, because it's a
Right.
you are measuring the gap, right? What the customer has expected and now what they have received. So you see what delta that they get it, and then try to reduce that delta. So that friction, I think, like I'll talk about the friction in the next couple of slides, then we'll see
So
on that.
okay, then just one last question on this, NK. Once we're so I've seen most of the companies actually don't take feedback at every touch point. They do it totally at the end, right? Like let's suppose we're talking about a hotel. They are not asking when you were doing you were booking a tour, or you were doing a pre-tour, during tour. They asked at the end, completely at the end, after like 4 or 5 days, that how was your overall experience. For me, that does not make much sense if I'm just asking it all once, right? I don't know what was happening at the pre-tour. If I booked a ticket a month ago, how would I remember that while giving an overall experience feedback? So I think, does it make sense what I'm saying? That
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, like I'll tell you that the the experience received at every touch point is actually not the overall experience of the customer,
right.
right? So basically, you forget what are the good things happen. Like for an example, I'll give you, if I took my daughter for a tour, I think we spent good time,
Mhm.
and then like at a restaurant we couldn't get like the regional idli and dosa that what she likes.
Right.
We couldn't get that, and I tried a lot, like three or four different restaurants at that time, and I couldn't get that.
Mhm.
And then she was not happy, and she has to eat like their regular stuff. So, and then later on we went to like high jump and then rides, and then we go for the shopping, and she liked the mall and everything. And then when we returned back to home, I asked her like, yeah, how was it experience? She said like, I didn't got my food, I'm not happy.
Right.
So she was like stuck like on that, like that one thing that is not good is stuck for throughout the day. But throughout the day we did a lot of other activities also, right?
Where she
That
had
where
fun.
she actually enjoyed, she had a fun. But when I asked her like how was the day, she picked up the same thing like, papa, you didn't, we didn't get this. I said,
So
okay.
people remember negative
So
things.
people, yeah, so the negative the things that doesn't go well on the emotion stays on our head, and that's the human behavior.
Mhm.
So in other way, I have seen that like one bad impression takes at least 12 good impressions to avoid, like to
Mhm.
get out of that.
Right. To
So
overcome that.
to
Yeah.
overcome that,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think like I just want to cover that if you're taking experience feedback, make sure that you are taking experience feedback at each milestones activity where the people
Mhm.
are actually able to
Interacting with the brand.
interacting with the brand and
Mhm.
understand and are able to understand. And it is the way that how you are taking the experience, right? It is not that you just want to get the feedback. You also
Mhm.
need to look at that you are not bombarding them with the surveys, and it's not like forcefully taking feedback. Yeah, I want feedback, right? Nobody's gonna give you feedback.
Got
So
it.
tell them like, how can we do better when you come next time,
Okay.
or something like
That
that,
makes
right?
sense,
And
MK.
people are
That
like more than happy to say, because see, if I'm giving a survey, I just don't understand what is in it for me, right? If I'm spending 2 minutes to take the survey, is it, if I'm giving feedback to Marriott, like if I'm gonna come back next time, if it is going to help me, yes, obviously I would do that, right? But if it is not going to help me, then
why
I
would I
will
want
not
to give
I will
feedback?
not care for that, right?
Right. Okay. Okay, it makes sense, MK.
So I think I wanted to highlight this is about, while you are doing this exercise, do a hard, like you love your customer a little bit more harder, and do a better customer research to understand, like you said, when people are writing their emotions and what they feel about it. So we really need to understand how they feel emotionally during each touch point and
Right.
experience, and ask them why about it. So when we
Okay.
do this exercise, this really make up the room. When we ask it like, how long did it take to complete, right? So the results are like, they expected that, if I thought customer would be done searching flight from this to this in maybe 20 minutes.
Right.
When they actually started doing it, it took them to 2.5 hours to 3 hours. So somebody might not have completed on the day itself.
Right.
So if you look at like the difference when they start feeling, doing it by themselves, we get a lot of insights, and then we understand that what the next step that we need to take in, provide the recommendation in our process that can help and reduce it.
And
Yeah.
NK, like we talked about recommendations that we have written in the previous slide, in the touch point slide, right? One question I had, like once we are doing building recommendations, right? So recommendations are like hypotheses that we are thinking that our customers would need, right? So in this conducting research, would you also add a point where we are validating our hypothesis? Because we have thought about, okay, these are the recommendations that every team member has thought, and there might be some innovations as well. But do our customers actually need it?
Yeah,
Is it
absolutely.
something that a part of conduct research as well?
Correct. Conducting research, we also taken the secondary research that is also available with us, right? What exactly the needs and the requirement of the customer is. But this exercise is actually being a practical exercise. Well,
Right.
we are being in the customer's shoes, thinking outside in approach, being a customer, and we evaluate this. We get much more deeper insights. That is the first thing. And second, we keep the moderator to look at this to give their ideas. And we also call in like some of the customer experience specialist. And you can also bring in your industry specialist also in this type of exercise, and they can put in their thoughts as well. So it 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 makes like how rich you want to make it. So based on that, you add your first hand research, your secondary research, you bring in the moderator, you bring in the customer experience specialist in this, and you bring in the industry specialist as well. So like all of this, that if you put those things as an investment in this program, the results that you would get will be actually awesome.
No, I completely get it. So, and one after this, all everyone has given their inputs. Being a product guy, I would still want to go to the customer to actually validate it, NK. That whether our recommendations, what we are thinking, what every one of us has thought about, whether they would need it or like it or not, right?
Absolutely.
Because
So prototyping. So prototyping is a good way to go ahead with that in the
absolutely
product
got it.
part of it. So we always do prototyping. Get back to that. But what I have seen is like when we do the outside in research, we have got a very good and healthy conversations defining this. And while we think about the customer, research is very close to that. And I think like
Got
as you said, if you really want to bring in the customer, you can bring in the customer in that room itself,
it. Right.
where it is gonna like relate your discussions outcomes very to the topic where you want to get it to.
Got it. Sure. NK. Let's move to the next step then.
Determine point of friction. So I think like it's always there, like where could friction appear in this particular touch point, whenever the person is interacting with the brands or services, and why people are not doing the business, or like they're trying to move out. I like managing frictions, and I think like I'll talk about the managing frictions in my next slide, like how do we resolve it, basically step 6. So if you look at like and have you played like ropeway, like pulling the rope from either each side, right? And if you
Right.
think about it, like there is a friction happens because the people try to get the other party on their side, right? And they try to make sure that like if this person, uh, I'm right, and I want them to listen to me, and this is actually the way it should be. You should do it this way, right? The customer wants that way, and the product
Right.
team or the service team said, "Oh,
Wants
I
this way.
think
Yeah.
this is a change request. We cannot do in this way. We haven't promised that." And then, oh no, this is not in our roadmap. This is gonna be available after 6 months, or this is something that we don't do as our values or whatnot, right?
Right.
So that is how it creates a friction. Friction is available only when the thoughts doesn't match up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at how the friction reduces based on the relationship.
Right.
So I'll give an example, like if you care for each other, like if you have a built up a great relationship, you understand them
Mm-hmm.
and say that, hey, how can we help, rather than saying that, uh, let's take how to resolve this. The question is understanding them. Hey, let's try to
Right.
understand what exact the problem is. Because sometimes I have seen
Right.
is there is a friction, and they think about this is not working, but they don't know what exactly is not working.
Right.
So we need to understand the problem better and go to the mindset that, hey, how can we help? Let's
Okay. So,
understand.
NK, if I talk about, like, once we have done this customer journey mapping exercise, we are trying to understand frictions now. To understand frictions, so not just one or two customers can give you those answers, right? So, if we talk about taking feedback, the reactive approach that you said, right? Doing something and taking feedback at every touch point, that is why it is super important. Otherwise, you will never know frictions, right? if you're not asking them for what's happening, because if I talk about a B2C, they cannot call every customer one by one and ask about how your journey was and what are the frictions, right? So you'll have to
Absolutely.
take feedback at every touch point. And now it makes more sense of not just taking overall. It's about making it throughout the customer journey. At every touch point you are understanding frictions, right?
Absolutely, yes. So if you look at is that is where the VOC programs is really help out, where we
Right.
collect the entire data, entire voices that customer is talking about to understand their sentiments, what they like, what they don't like, their expectations from us, and then whether how we can deliver it to that to resolve that, right? So that's one way to look at that in a bulk situation, because we
Right.
can't like in a B2C, if you are like 100 million responses or 100 million transactions are happening every day, you can't, it's very difficult to do that way, right?
Right.
On a one-on-one basis. So yeah, I think that's the great way to listen and consolidate into one place, so that
Right.
you understand which areas that you need to track action on, like which is the problem happening in your transactions, is the problem happening on boarding, is the problem happening at checkout, where is the problem happening, right?
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
a good way. But again, I would still there is a very important point here, is that to resolve the friction is really not thinking about features, revenue, the processes, and anything, the the discussion or the things that you are not happy with the customer in the past. If you want to salvage the relationship, build up a great relationship, think about how we can help, think about the value that we can provide, and think about the long term
Right.
vision, long term CLV. Don't focus on whether we are able to fulfill this particular request or not. Always think about that if this customer stays with us for another 10 years, how much value we can drive it. So
Right.
I think like when we look at on the CLV value of a customer, we always tend to take a different approach to solve the problem.
Right.
So that is the way how we want to resolve an issue. And sometimes like it takes mutual benefit. It's a mutual gain for the customer and for the service. That how we can resolve it. It is not going to happen always. Like, and I would say that like if if you have to always get down, then I think like there is something wrong, right? But if it is like happening mutually, then I think that the relationship goes well, and then you are married for each other.
So
But
you
if it
both
is
are
not, then I
compromising.
think
You
yeah,
both are
yeah, I think
compromising.
like
You
we
and
don't
also the
have to
customer.
compromise. I
Right.
mean, it's like compromise. See, compromise happens um, at a certain level. If I have seen compromise happens on the features,
Right.
processes, but compromise doesn't happen on the values,
Values. Absolutely.
right? If the compromise is happening on the values, then I think like it's better to get apart.
Right. So I would say step 6 resolve is like completely closing the loop.
Completely closing the loop. Yep,
Yeah.
you got it absolutely on the on this, right? Is if you want to have a zero friction future, then how do you want it? But I think like that's the ideal way we want to live in, that zero friction.
Right.
But many people would lose their job if it happened.
That never happens. That never
That
happens. It's all
but
about like husband
uh,
and wife, like you mentioned, right? Zero friction never happens.
zero
But yeah,
friction
we
never
can
happened.
reduce most of the frictions, then the relationship becomes
More
stronger, right?
stronger. So
If
yeah, I feel like that great. So if you look at whenever there is a friction happens, whenever there is a friction, right? I always take a look this as an opportunity.
the
This is an opportunity where somewhere I can do something better,
better.
right? What is happening? And if there is no conversation, no voice, nothing is happening, there is very less that I can do something, right?
Right.
But if somebody is talking, somebody is showing their anger, somebody say that they are not happy, I think that gives us an opportunity to bring them on, to see what we could do better, where we are at the loss,
Right.
where we are not right or something. So I think like we really need to look at the opportunity whenever there is a friction.
Whenever absolutely. NK. Now I it makes more sense when we talk about feedback. A person who's giving a negative feedback is a person that we should love, right? Because it is giving us an opportunity to improve, and once we improve and once we resolve it, the happiness that customer gets is just out of this world for them, right? Because they think, okay, this company, this brand is listening to me. If I'm saying something bad, they are acting on it. What else I can ask them to do, right? So it's kind of like a relationship as well. Husband and wife, there are frictions, and if there is no friction, I don't think that it's an excellent relationship, right? But the thing is, you resolve those frictions. That is what customer experience is all about, right?
Yep. Yep. I think
Absolutely makes sense.
like it's you know, there is a saying in Hindi, uh, nindak niyare rakhiye, right? Basically that's the person who actually tells like bad things about you, or like he's because we are very closely watching our the people who don't love us, right? Because those are the
Right.
people who can tell us where we can improve on, right? So people who tell us, who tell negative things about it, they are the real person, they are the real gems for us,
Mm.
because those are the people who know that
Absolutely.
where we want to focus, where we want to improve on.
Right.
So sometimes like they are very 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 helpful.
Yeah. So, NK, I think this customer journey mapping it will go long and long, and we can keep on talking about this for a longer time, right? So, what I would, I just have a thought in mind. You let me know if it works. We saw that everything that you showed us in the slides was something which you have done, right? Uh, would you like to do a workshop with me where we can actually show our audience how we can actually do this customer journey mapping? Uh, Not just the outcome which we saw today, how we actually go deep dive and start doing the customer journey mapping. So can we do an episode about that? Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. We could do that. I think we can definitely dive and do a live workshop maybe,
Awesome.
and we can pick up some personas
Right.
and pull up their entire customer journey, and we can take a look at what outcomes come in.
So for all the audience there, we'll do a workshop in our next podcast and go through how the customer journey takes place. Just last question before I say bye, NK, is we are talking about customer journey map. So how does a customer journey map contributes in improving the overall customer experience?
Again, you said like a simple question. It's not a simple question, right? So yeah, I think the most important part of customer journey is actually aligning your entire organization to
Right.
a same ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think about it, like if everybody is selling the boat for a single direction, the speed is always going to be higher,
Right.
right? But if you have like multiple people sitting, 100 people on the boat, and 30 people are like driving this way, or let's say another example that I shared with you, that while you're driving a car, there is only single steering. What if I give steering to everyone? What
Everyone.
it will happen, right?
Yeah. They'll
So
they'll drive in the other directions, right?
yeah, absolutely. So basically, like the customer journey mapping brings the alignment in the organization, and
Right.
it also brings the clarity in the thought that what exactly we want to do and how we want to resolve it.
Oh,
And that is really help us a realistic expectation what could be set to the customer, and then you also find the other way around to exceed that expectation.
right.
Don't So if you have something that you want to delight the customer, just don't say it in advance, just save
Just
it.
save it. Just save it for a surprise element. But yeah, if you talk about my question, the answer is that uh, it helps like driving everyone towards the same goal. That gives all the answer, I think. Alignment and everyone towards the same goal. That makes perfect sense. Thank you, NK. It was nice talking to you. Sorry, it was a long discussion today. I had so many questions, and that's why I thought, why not do a workshop rather than just going on and on in this episode, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, NK, for being here and
Thank
sharing your
you.
thoughts. It is always a pleasure working with you and speaking with you. See you on your next episode, NK. Bye bye.
Thank you, Tanuj. Have a great day.